Hi everyone, this is Truly Almendo Pasaribu from Universitas Sanata Dharma. In this video, we're going to discuss a very interesting question. What is language? Well, we live in a world of language. When we learn, we think, we talk, we use language. But what is exactly language? Well, in this video, we're going to use this definition. Language is a system of symbols used habitually by humans to communicate with each other. Now, let's take a closer look at the phrases used in this definition. So, language is a system of oral, auditory symbols. We use sound signals. We have speech organs that enable us to communicate with oral language. When we send messages or emails, we use written language that symbolizes the sounds that we produce. Like some animals, we use sound signals to communicate. However, our language is used based on certain mechanism, and we use it to serve some communicative purposes. And our language is different from animal communication. Then the question is, how can it be distinguished from other systems of communication? For example, animal communication. Our language has unique properties which we will discuss in this video. The first one, we acquire language by learning. Which one is related to the properties of human language? Can you guess? Well, many animals automatically know how to communicate without learning. Their systems of communication are genetically inbuilt. Bee dancing, for example, is substantially the same in bee colonies in different parts of the world with only small variation. This is quite different from the long learning process needed to acquire human language. Our language is culturally transmitted. A human being brought up in isolation simply does not acquire language, as shown by some studies of children brought up by animals. The next property of human language is arbitrariness. Let's take a look at the slide. There is often strong, recognizable link between the actual signal and the message an animal wishes to convey. An animal who wishes to warn off an opponent may stimulate an attacking attitude, for example, a cat. A cat will spit and appear ready to pounce. In human language, the reverse is true. There is no link whatsoever between the signal and the message, or the symbols that we use are arbitrary. The language that we use does not have direct relationships with the concept it indicates, but there are exceptions. Few of them is called onomatopoeic of words such as quack quack and bang. They share direct relationship between the words and the concepts. But there are only few of these compared with the total numbers of words. Another feature of human language is duality. As what is said previously, there are animals that use sound signals like cow, fox, and dolphins. A cow has under 10 sounds. A fox has over 30 sounds. Dolphins have between 20 and 30. Most animals have basic sounds. Most animals can use each basic sound only once. However, human language works rather differently. Each language has a stock of sound units or phonemes which are similar in number to the basic sounds possessed by animals. But each phoneme is normally meaningless in isolation. For example, the sound t. It doesn't have meaning, but it becomes meaningful when it is combined with other phoneme, like what we have here as t, a, p. The organization of language into two layers, a layer of sounds which combine into a second layer of larger units, is known as duality or double articulation. Duality is a unique characteristic of human language. The next one is displacement. Let's take a look at this slide. Most animals can communicate about things in the immediate environment only. A cat or a bird, for example, can cry only when danger is present, or they can use spontaneous utterances only. By contrast, our language is not limited to time or space. This is known as displacement. We can communicate about things that are absent as easily as about things that are present. We can talk about the past and we can talk about the future. The next property of human language is creativity. Most animals have a very limited number of messages they can send or receive. The male of a certain species of grasshopper, for example, has a choice of 6, which can be translated as follows. I'm happy, life is good, I would like to make love, you are trespassing on my territory, she's mine, let's make love, oh how nice it is to have made love. The grasshopper can only send a number or a limited number of messages under limited circumstances. It's totally different from what is found in human language. This type of restriction, of course, is not found in human language, which is essentially creative or productive. Humans can produce novel utterances whenever they want to. That's why we have these words, muggle, googling, bupper in online dictionaries. We can understand the meaning of the words because of these properties. Patterning is also a unique property of human language. Let's take a look at some sounds here. 4 possible ways of organizing these sounds, like bats, taps, step, or bust. All other possibilities are excluded. For example, English word does not recognize but. In the sentential level, the language we use also follows some mechanisms. We can see here that the lexical items the, and that can be interchangeable. Every item in language then has its own characteristic place in the total pattern. It is interesting to note that our language is structure dependent. It depends on structure. The use of a language depends on an understanding of the internal structure of a sentence rather than on the number of elements involved. These unique properties of human language enable us to communicate with each other. The use of language can serve many purposes, like persuasive, directive, informative, or effective, and many others. Talking about language is always interesting because language reveals about us and our surroundings. Thank you very much. See you in the next lesson.